I don't know anything about Napa Boys. My understanding, it is a franchise. This is the fourth movie, or they're just making up the fact that it's the fourth movie of a franchise.
Sure.
But I will say that it feels like it is a franchise, and a franchise I wish I knew something about before going into this movie, because one of the issues I had with it was it's hard to connect with characters you know nothing about. And so when they start doing their character thing right from the start, it's like, oh, okay, what, you just feel like you're missing a whole bunch of things. But it's written by and directed by it stars Armin Weitzman as Miles Jr. and Nick Corarossi as Jack Jr. And we're picking up sometime down the line of the Napa Boy saga. What's going on here is they're getting back into the wine game. In fact, they're doing an entry into the Great Wine Festival, see, this is why I'm having a hard time describing it, because I had a hard time really connecting with this movie. So I'll give you the bright points here. They go on a great adventure to find the sommelier to deliver his amulet. Also, there's a great wine festival, and their competition is Squirm, played by Paul Rudd, who everybody hates. And so the wine festival is willing to delay the final judgment of the wines until the Napa Boys can finally produce their wine, because the ones that they produced for the competition, Jack Jr. Was having bowel issues and shit in the wine barrel. And so that's kind of that thing there. It's also an adventure led by Puck, played by Sarah Ramos. She leads them to the sommelier, and there's some love stories that happen in it. So you could tell by the way I'm describing this how much I love this movie. This movie does what modern comedies are starting to do now, and it's really starting to annoy me. And it's this idea that in comedy, you have a premise and a punchline. So you set up this weird premise, and you kind of guide us through the premise, and then you punch us with that punchline, and that induces the laugh. What this movie does is it presents a series of weird premises, and it lacks a punchline. The only real punchline that I remember in this movie was the shit in the wine bucket, because they had to drink it, of course. So like Miles is set up as this character of a virgin who's married, whose marriage is on the rocks. Nick is kind of there's like a whole Stifler thing, like Stifler Jr., something like that, Stifler's brother. And I think it's meant to be the Stifler from American Pie. Jay and Silent Bob actually make appearances in it. And it's just these weird...
Really? Kevin Smith?
Yeah, they're both in it. In fact, Silent Bob does early on what he does later in those movies, and that's speak and go on some kind of a rant. But the thing is, there's just so much story and side story that honestly, I was just not as engaged with it as I should have been. And look, I could have watched it over again and tried to figure out everything, but I'm like, you've got to, in these comedies, you just can't do weird things. I'll give you an example. This was the downfall of She-Hulk in terms of comedy. It was just set up a weird premise and then have She-Hulk comment about it. Oh, that's weird. And then that's the joke. The only thing funny about She-Hulk was Madison, because it was a great character, and they really did a lot with Madison. But here, again, it's just a bunch of setups, no punchline, and I guess fans of Napa Boys are gonna hate me for this, but I'm just like, I gave it a shot, and I just couldn't get into it. So no, not a recommendation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were like halfway through describing the movie, and I was like, oh, Alan didn't like it.
Yeah.
Because if a movie doesn't really connect with you, where you can like repeat, like, here's why you got to see it, here's the story, and you were checked out, clearly. So
yeah, I mean, all I can tell you is the guy shit in the wine bucket, and they drank it.
Top of my list.